you live in San Diego right now. So what other places have you lived in?
Well, to be quite honest, I was born in the Philippines and I left there when I was 3 years old. I don't remember anything about the Philippines. I do know that when I came here, I didn't know any English. I only knew Tagalog, but then my grandparents told my mom, the children are now in the United States. Can you please speak English to them? So that's one of my biggest regrets is I wish my mom still talked to us in Tagalog because I feel that I think it's important to be bilingual now, or to know several languages. I have a daughter-in-law who is from Spain, so I have two granddaughters, and I always tell my son and my daughter-in-law, please let them be bilingual.
Hmm.
And
And
then
you,
I have another granddaughter. She's in her first year in high school and she's taking Japanese. So I hope all my grandkids will want to learn a second language.
and when you came to US, you came to US San Diego.
Yes,
Oh.
yes,
And you lived here ever since.
yes. So I haven't really lived in a lot of places, even my husband. And it's kind of funny because when we were sitting here thinking of retiring, I was teasing my husband. I said, well, where do you think you want to live? And he's like, well, I don't know, because he's only known California. I'm probably more adventurous than he is. I wouldn't mind, checking out some other places and things like that. But again, the reason why we picked Arizona is because we do have family in California, so it'll be easier for us to travel to come back here and visit them. We also have family in Washington State. That's my oldest daughter.
Mhm.
So her and her family live up there.
Is your husband still working?
He is he's retired from law enforcement, but he has a part-time job at Costco, and he's been doing that for the past 5 years, and he really enjoys that. He was just getting bored being retired, but then I kind of question it because he started going back to work when I retired. I was like, are you trying to tell me something? You don't want to be around me? So we're not really going to know what it's like being retired and around each other 24 hours a day until we move to Arizona. But we already bought a home. We were looking when we narrowed it down where we wanted to live, because we were sitting here even thinking of our plan was we would go on vacation somewhere. And then if we liked that place, then we would consider it.
Mhm.
And but for some reason we just figured, Arizona's close to California, and our reality is we're going to be on a fixed income. We love living the life that we have now, but it's going to cost us less in Arizona.
Mhm.
So we went and visited Arizona, and when we do go to places that we think we might want to live in, we go there when we research it, figure out what is the hottest months, and that's when we go to visit, or what is the rainiest. For example, we went to Washington State. It's too rainy for us, so no, we don't want Washington State. Then we said, okay, Arizona. So then we went to Arizona in August because we knew it was going to be, that's when it was going to be really, really hot. We wanted to see if we could tolerate it. We don't mind a dry heat. And where we're living, is
Is it in Phoenix?
no, it's called Wickenburg.
Wickenburg.
So they have less than 10,000 people there. This is going to be a drastic change for us. In fact, we visited it 3 times before we decided we were going to buy a home.
Do you know anyone there?
No. So it's going to be a real
challenge.
Adventure. Yeah, challenge and adventure for us. But at this time in our lives, I think we just want peace and quiet. And it's a golf community. It's beautiful. But where it's at, if you go, it's like an hour away from Phoenix, an hour away from Prescott. So it's not like we're, stuck in the middle of nowhere. The third time we went back there, what sold us on it was there's this town called Surprise, and Surprise is only 40 minutes away. And it's just like, if you drove to like Rancho Bernardo, it has all the things that we would want. We'll just go there to go to Costco. We'll probably go once a month, do our shopping. But yeah, I just think we're ready for quiet.
And before you retire, what jobs have you done before?
A lot of my jobs were in hospital. So, for example, I worked in the admitting department at Children's Hospital, and then from there I moved up to a medical secretary, and then from there I moved up to office administrator. So I spent like 10 years at Children's Hospital, and after that I went and started working for startup medical device companies. I worked for probably about 3 different startup medical device companies, and then I worked for a commercial moving company, and I worked for the commercial moving company for about 11 years before I retired. And at that one, I was like the office administrator. So I was in charge of all the departments, payroll, and things like that. So,
when did you retire?
5 years ago.
Besides Toastmaster, what else do you do right now?
I recently finished a term on the Commission of Aging for the city of Chula Vista. And basically, what we were doing there was trying to develop programs where we would help senior citizens within the community. We would be advising the city council on items that we felt would be beneficial for the senior community. So right now, they have merged some of their commissions, so I'm waiting for an appointment to be on the Healthy Chula Vista Commission. I haven't been selected yet, but what they're trying to do is if they merged your commission, they said that they would put you on another commission. I'm also work as a volunteer ombudsman for the county of San Diego. I've done that for 4 years. What I do is I visit I have 6 facilities assigned to me. So the facilities where senior citizens usually live, it might be called an RCFE, which is a 6-bed. So what happens is people will get a certification to run a 6-bed. It's usually a home in a community. So like maybe one of my neighbors might have a 6-bed. So they take in 6 senior citizens, like roommates. But usually in that type of environment, they have to be able to while they need limited care, they have to be able to do certain things to qualify to be admitted into that type of environment. Then the next one that I do is I have it's called a nursing facility. The one that I go to is in National City. It's called Friendship Manor. And then the last one that I go to, it's called Westmont Village, and that's very high end. A lot of the people there, they're self-sufficient. They do have a memory care for Alzheimer's and dementia, but that one, boy, it costs a lot of money. So the price range of what people are paying for as senior citizens, it's like as low as $3,500 a month up to 10 to 15,000 a month, depending on what, you know, what their income is and what they can afford. But a lot of the ones that I go and visit, like the 6 beds, I'm required to visit those at least once a month. The nursing facility in National City, they have over 100 people. I visit that at least 2 times a month, sometimes 3 or 4.
What do you do when you visit them?
What I do is I go in there and I introduce myself and I tell them that if they have any complaints or concerns, that they can contact me. I give them my business card. It has my name and my phone number. And then I just, make sure that when I visit, I'm visiting everyone there. So I spend like a couple of hours visiting them. But then also, I might be called there to do an investigation. Like if someone sits, we have a hotline, and then a resident can call in and say, hey, someone is stealing my money, or I lost my necklace, or there might be a family issue. I can also be a witness and do advanced care directives. Like, for example, a lot of people, they'll be in there, but they don't have no family members. So they might sit there and say, hey, Joyce, um, John Smith wants a medical directive. Can you come in? And then I have to meet with the person who they want to assign as responsible for them. I have to talk to the resident and say, are you doing this on your own? No one's forcing you to do this, things like that. So it's a combination of things that I do. I'm investigating again, anything that goes, any complaints that go on, any concerns that they have. I do and then also when they're getting ready to discharge, because a lot of the nursing facilities, they're not going to provide you with the information that I feel that they need to provide everyone with the information. But most places, if you don't ask, they're not going to tell you. So if I have a family member saying, oh, my father, they want to discharge my father, but I don't think he's ready, then I tell them their rights. Okay, well, go back there and tell them you're not ready. But if a nursing facility, what they're trying to do is, if they can get rid of, I don't want to say get rid of, if they can discharge a patient, they'll do it. Okay. But I just think there's more that they can do to help the family.
So this is a nursing facility, not a senior living facility.
Well, even senior living facilities, because okay, this is what the biggest issue is people have their Medicare insurance. But once the Medicare insurance is done, they want to discharge the patient. All right, but the patient might not be ready. Mm-hmm. So what people don't understand is you can file an appeal, ask for more days, or things like that. But what I see is, I just feel bad for people who have Medicare and then they have Medi-Cal, because a lot of places don't really want, it's very limited, and they don't want to take Medi-Cal. Mm-hmm. All right, because if you have someone who can afford to stay there and they can pay you $4,000 a month versus someone who has Medi-Cal, when you agree to accept Medi-Cal, you're agreeing to accept whatever the state gives you. And if the state only gives you $1,000, whereas there's this patient who can pay $3,000, what do you think the facility wants to? So there's a lot of, I think what the state needs to do, based on what I've seen, is I think they should designate a certain percentage of beds for Medi-Cal patients. They don't do that. And there's this long waiting list for people, to get into these facilities. So what I do is when I talk to families, I always try to ask them the best thing that a family can do is if they have someone who can help take care of the family member and at their home or where they live, that's the best option. Because once you start getting into the system, you know, you there's no one there to advocate. Okay. So the only people they have are these volunteer ombudsmen like me. Because a lot of the people that I see in there, it's like they're in there, but their family doesn't visit them. It's really sad. It's we have an epidemic of loneliness.
Oh.
So when a volunteer like me goes in there, I build these relationships and they're like, oh, I'll be in, because like when we had COVID, I couldn't go in there and visit. But then finally, when I got to go back and visit, some of the same people were there. And then I'd go in their room and I'd say, do you remember me? And they'd be like, oh, Joyce, So I talk to them and things like that. And they're happy to see me because sometimes I'm the only visitor they get.
Why do you feel this is important?
I think it's important because me and my sisters had to go through it with my mom. And we were looking for places for my mom to stay. And we were concerned because my mom had dementia. And I told my sisters, I said, I think we need to find a place where they speak Tagalog. Because what if she forgets English and she just starts speaking Tagalog and we're like, we don't know how to take care of her. So then when I took my mom to go visit these facilities, me and my sisters all went because I wanted us all to make the decision together, not just one person. So we found a place that was close to my one sister's house, but the majority of the residents were there. I didn't realize it. I just thought, oh, this is a really nice house. Oh, it's really clean. Oh, it's just down the street from Nanette's house, my sister. This will be perfect. So then when we were leaving, I told my mom, I said, oh, I think that's going to be a good place for you and blah, blah, blah. And you know what my mom said to me? She said, I want to be somewhere where I can talk to other people. And in that facility, a lot of the people were like in a coma.
No.
So this is my mom. She always tells it like it is. She goes, so all I want to tell you is I'm not dead yet. And then when she said that, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. So then I found another place in Bonita, and the people that owned it were Filipino. She was a registered nurse. There were you know, other people there. They were all talkative. Some of them had various stages of dementia, but that's where she ended up going, and they had karaoke. She liked that. But it was a very nice place, a beautiful place. And the people, because my mom was Filipino and they were Filipino, my mom loved it because they were cooking food that she hadn't eaten and vegetables. They grew vegetables from the Philippines that she hadn't eaten since she was from the Philippines. So she really, really liked it. So it was a really good fit. But there's not, for families to find a place for where their seniors can go, it's a lot of work. And then that's why I got involved in the ombudsman program, because I wanted to see what other resources are out there. And then they gave really good training. And the reality is, in the next couple of years, the biggest population is going to be people over 65.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I went to a conference, they sent us there, and they said what's going to happen is a silver tsunami is coming.
No. Is it more older people? Aging problem, I guess.
Yes. And so what does that mean? There's going to be people who, they didn't save good enough. Where are we going to put them? A lot of these people in the nursing homes, they don't have any money. What's going to happen to them, the ones who do live at home and their children aren't checking on them. So there's a lot of things like we can do in the community to help the seniors who are we call them aging in place, meaning they're home, their children aren't visiting them. Like me and my husband, we're busy. If someone would have told us we were going to be caregivers when we retired, we would have said, no, we're going to be traveling. We're going to go here. But the reality is we have to take care of my mother-in-law. There's days I go over there and I have to help her clean her house. I have to take her to doctor's appointments. I have to go get her groceries. We have set her up, with a laptop. She can order things online, but sometimes she messes up her orders. So it's very trying, and it's only going to get worse, and it's going to set people up. I feel that there's going to be some families that are going to be very frustrated, and I think we're going to end up seeing more elder abuse, and we've got to put something in place now.
And what can we do, and what kind of message you want to convey to the people watching this video?
What I would like to convey is, if you have time to help a senior in your neighborhood, maybe help them, offer to put out their trash on trash day. Maybe, a couple times during the month, just knock on the door and visit them and talk to them. There are volunteer organizations in the county that you can volunteer. One of the ones that I like is because the biggest issue that a lot of seniors have who are at home is that they're lonely. So they have this program where you can sign up and they'll connect you with a senior, and all you need to do is call them maybe once a week just to talk to them. Like, hey, Joyce, this is, Betty. I just wanted to see how you're doing. How's the just talking to them, just 10, 15 minutes. So there are programs out there to help seniors. And I just encourage you to look and find out what they are. You can tell the volunteers how much time you can spend, but I really feel that it would help our community, especially since a lot of our community members are, turning 65 and they're going to be seniors.
And then lastly, back to your personal life, do you have any bucket list?
I always have a bucket list. And then there's some times where something happens. I'm like, oh, I got to add that on my, bucket list. The one thing that happened recently that was exciting, and I put it on my bucket list, is I met a Toastmaster who, she was always very, very humble, and I had no idea how rich she was, and she invited a group of us to her boat. And the boat ended up being a yacht. And what she did was she took us on her yacht, and she had the captain take the yacht, and we went all around. We went in the bay, and we went all around to Coronado, and from Coronado we could look over and see the the view of the city. And then when we went back, we could turn around and we could see the view of Coronado, North Island. So that was definitely something that I put on my bucket list that I got to do. But the other things that I want to do on my bucket list is I would like to do a little bit more traveling. I'm hoping me and my husband can do some traveling when we retire. I know we've been talking about going on a cruise to Alaska, but I kind of like to do things that are like off the beaten track. I don't want to do the touristy kind of things. I like it to be maybe a more personalized, a different type of cruise, not the typical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think traveling and being involved in my grandchildren's lives, I'm one of those that I told my husband, I just want to make sure that once we retire, if our grandkids need something, that, you know, we're able to give that to them. Not spoil them, but I mean, you know, if I had a grandchild that said, "Hey, I want to take an art class or I want to go to this camp," that, you know, I'm able to support them and give them the money to do what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Want to get a dog. When we move to Arizona, I want to get a dog. So I already picked out a name.
What's the name?
The name's going to be Buddy.
Buddy. And you also have a cat?
I have a cat. Her name's Panther. She hides everywhere. She doesn't like people. She tends to hide when people come over. In fact, I always have people say, "Do you really have a cat? I've never seen her." The only way you can tell we have a cat is if you see her food dish.
Yeah, I didn't see her either.
Yeah, no, she's not going to come around.